on 11/1/23. I'm going to call the Municipal Building Commission meeting to order. Everyone is here. First order of business, we have the minutes from 10/25/23. Is there a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Mason, you want to talk to us about some of the projects?
Sure. So first on the agenda, we had just a brief Willett roof update. Not a lot of change since last week. So last week there was a punch list walkthrough scheduled for Thursday. So after we had our previous meeting, the walkthrough happened. When I spoke to Ann Jeanette yesterday and today, they discovered some punch list items. She didn't have the finalized punch list yet, because they were flying a drone today to take a look at some of the other some of the things on the roof just to confirm. So I believe they're supposed to be out finishing out some of those punch list items on Saturday and Sunday. So Socotec, Skanska, and JD&D should be on site this weekend. Skanska has coverage for both days, and that's pretty much it. I mean, we should be closing out that contract within the next week or two. So,
Have we taken a vote on substantial completion?
not yet. So when we get the punch list, we'll do that. So we should be able to close everything out at the next meeting, I think.
You mean not reduce the 5 down to a monetized punch list, just declare substantial completion, the punch list is done and be finished with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll wait, because I asked Ann Jeanette, and I don't think they wanted to actually take the vote yet. So I think we'll wait to get those documents, and then we can proceed with that.
And you're going to remind the mayor we need some...
Yeah, so hopefully in December we can have kind of a further discussion on some of the follow-on work. So as we've previously discussed, under our current contract for design services as well as the OPM, we own the window wall work. So at a minimum, that's like the next step. It's a matter of, are we sort of going to expand the scope of work and combine the window wall work with some additional work that needs to be done on the building? Are we going to basically close out the loan authorization at where we're at now and look to kind of issue a new loan order at some point for additional work? There's masonry and envelope work that we don't necessarily believe falls under the current funding for the project, but it was definitely found when they were out there on site, and we think it's important. So we're kind of continuing the conversation there. It's something.
And there are windows that weren't part of the window wall that are now 30 years old. And do we know if the school department's going forward with the air conditioning in that building?
So last I checked with Mark Furtado, they expected to be under contract by the end of the calendar year for HVAC, which again, when last time we spoke, I think they were talking about a next summer project. And so that's part of the consideration as well, right? These windows, if they're not really providing any insulation value in their current state, you essentially want if you're going to be doing an HVAC project and you're going to be trying to change those systems there, you also would want to update the windows. Otherwise, you're kind of you're just going to be spending more money on the actual
the
exactly
outdoors.
Yeah, so it's kind of I think there's a combined effort there, trying to coordinate everything to where that'll be part of the project is coordinating when they're going to be on site for HVAC, as well as when we might be on site to do some of this work next summer, because this would be looking at another summer project. I mean, a lot of this work, I mean, you can't do it when school's in session, right? So
No. And there's also 16-week lead time on windows.
I think last time when we spoke to Andrew Barr, he said about 16 to 20 weeks, I think it was. And yeah. So I on some of our projects, we've noticed lead times actually shortening on some items for the first time. I can't say that across the board, but it seemed like the last year it just increased every time you went out for anything, and we're starting to see some of those lead times come down. Remains to be seen if that'll be the case across the board. I mean, you might be able to speak to some of that. So that's kind of where we're at with Willett, and more to follow in December.
Maybe people should be buying stock in window manufacturers, because if you have that kind of a lead time, you've got an excellent backlog of orders.
And then, do you want to move to the police roof?
Unless there's any other questions, police roof?
So the police roof contract's still working its way. As you know, last meeting we the NBC voted to recommend Gibson to award the contract to Gibson Roof. They were the low bidder on the project. Done work with them in the past. I mean, they did the work on previous NBC project. So I feel really confident. Socotec's really confident. Port Consulting was really confident. So we're just working the contract. There's still some outstanding paperwork that we need to kind of move that through. So hopefully we'll have some pen to paper next week, and then we're trying to get out there before the end of the month to start construction. And it's a short window. So trying to move as quick as we can. And then we do have one bill on the police roof. Do we want me to read that?
And that's a bill for Mark Zawatsky.
Correct.
And that's in order to pay?
This is in order to pay. It's consulting and clerk of the work services, and it's through, I believe, through October 27th.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And then we have a memo from the Water Department.
And you should have a copy there, Jack. So
Yeah, I do. Do you want me to read it into the record?
as well.
All right. It's a memo to Mason from Courtney with a CC to us. So obviously, Mason is much more important than the building commission, because I would have reversed those. But in any event, for the Pawtucket Interconnect, Water Department met with CDM Smith and Waterline Industries on November 1st to discuss various RFIs submitted for the waterline. Alternative placements of the Pawtucket water main in the site were discussed. The placement will be finalized in the coming days, but it is likely that the placement will be moving the main slightly to the southwest of the station. And she said that something was attached, but I
Yeah,
didn't get anything attached.
There was a scan that came over this afternoon, so I can distribute that to anyone who's looking for it. There was just I think a change to the site plan, so I'm happy to send that out.
So do we need to get our minor site plan review amended?
That part I don't know, so that's a good question. So as you can see, this meeting happened today, so Courtney just sent it over right before the meeting, so we'll take a look at that.
Yeah, you might want to take a look at that and talk to Gary Arasian and see whether we need to file an amended plan of some sort. Next, the proposed 3-inch fire service will be changed to a 6-inch fire service. While 3 inches is adequate, 3-inch pipe is very expensive and hard to come by compared to 6-inch pipe. In addition, there is no other 3-inch pipe belonging to the water department in the distribution system. National Grid has proposed a location for an existing pole that needs to be moved to the site. CDM is confirming that the location works with the site layout. So I guess if the pole moves, that's something additional for the minor site plan review, right? And then lastly, it says the overflow to the retention basin shown on the plans is directed on site. CDM is working with DPW to confirm that this is the ideal location. There is little to no overflow expected from this station, so the site and basin are adequate to handle any overflow that does occur during quarterly exercising of this station once it is online. So I'm not sure I fully understand this, because at the beginning I thought she was talking about the stormwater system that was approved by the Conservation Commission. But now it appears she's talking about when they exercise the station, that there will be excess water. Does this make any sense to you, Mason?
Could it depends where it's discharging to when they exercise it. So if they exercise it and it's
So they're not
coming
gonna
out-
pump it out into the system then, right?
I don't know. It depends.
Why
where the
wouldn't
water
you
is.
pump it into the system instead of just putting it into a retention basin? I mean, we have to pay for it, don't we?
So do you want me to reach out to Courtney and get some clarification?
I think we should
Yeah.
find out a little more about that. That's the problem with shorthand memos. On to temporary PFAS. The city has awarded Bishco Construction, currently in the process of generating a purchase order for work to start. The contract is signed. So will those be bills we'll be approving?
So for Bisco, yes. So as you remember, we had them come before the commission and talk about the bids that we brought in.
Yeah.
Voted to recommend Bisco. The contract was actually fully executed today. Contract in the PO. So as we start to bill out for that, we'll bring those before the commission.
Okay. And then the permanent plant, the final draft of the siting study for the new plant is still in process and is expected this month. The final pilot study report that includes proposed treatment for PFAS, manganese, and TTHM precursors is expected in early February. It's a public meeting, October 17th, 2023, for funding the design phase of the permanent plant, the amount of $1,580,000. The city has applied for state revolving fund funding for the remaining phases of this project, and we'll know in the coming weeks if the project is approved for the SRF funding. A proposed schedule of design, permitting, and construction is attached. Again,
Send that out to the commission.
we should send that out. So the loan order was approved, or is it still in committee, or?
I believe it's in committee. I think on the 7th it's going to be finalized. I'll confirm. I can get back when I send out the documents. I'll give a confirmation on whether or not it was
And
approved.
then I would assume once the siting study is done, somebody would be coming before us to make a presentation. Would you think that would be appropriate?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions on water?
Jack, could we ask if there's any cost changes with those RFIs?
If, we
Pawtucket?
should, because if there are, we need to approve the change orders.
You talking about on Pawtucket?
Yeah.
Yeah, so is there a change order log or something, or is this not get to that point yet, Mason?
So this meeting happened today, this morning actually, and so Courtney was just hoping to give the most updated information. That's why she waited to send this until today after the meeting. So that might just remain to be seen. I'll reach out to Courtney, give her some RFIs, and I think it'd be reasonable to schedule Courtney to actually come before the commission in December, give a formal update. We may want to bring in CDM as well.
Just take Matt Pita.
To talk about PITA. Yeah, to talk about some of these updates. Just because they've been, the primary interface.
They
with
should
water.
understand that, a change order log would be important. Okay. Any other questions on water? Then moving along to the final thing that's not on the agenda, I emailed Todd Costa today concerning the public safety feasibility study. He indicated that they have all of the information now they need from the fire department in order to complete the response time portion of it, and that he would be back to us soon, whatever soon means, with a time when they would want to come back before us to make a further presentation. So to be determined. So at this point, it seems like our next meeting is the 6th, and of course, in 2 weeks, we have the school building committee. I assume that the school building committee will ramp down the meetings, since I saw an email today saying that the contractor would be looking for substantial completion on the exterior work as of the 17th of this month, and that would get it just down to punch list. So then, I'm not sure that we would need school building committee meetings until there was something else to approve, any other bills. So those may get suspended. There may be one in December. Maybe there won't be any until April or May. I don't know. But we've had so many meetings, it'll be good to take a few Wednesday nights off, right?
When is the next SBC meeting?
Should be the
Weeks.
15th.
Oh, 15th, okay.
Third Wednesday.
It's always the third Monday, or it has been
Wednesday.
for this fall anyway.
Yeah, so third Wednesday of the month, so it should be the 15th, and that'll be 5:30 in the Zito room.
Right.
Okay.
All right, anything else we need to do? Well, then, our 15-minute meeting is over if somebody makes a motion at 5:45.
Move to adjourn. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
So when's the next meeting? Is it,